Hi everyone, this is Dr. Stefan Kozielski, and he is an expert for supply chain at the Boston Consulting Group. So, welcome, Dr. Stefan here.
Pleasure.
I hope you are enjoying until now the summit, which is today taking place, and it's really interesting for a lot of people, and hopefully it's equally interesting for you as well.
Yeah, we really have some great discussion inside. So, also quite a cool mix of topics, I have to say, from market insights to really operational topics, and topics more on the software side. So I really enjoy it.
So please tell us a little bit about what you do at BCG and about BCG as a company.
Yeah, at BCG I'm an expert for manufacturing and supply chain topics. So this means I'm driving the know-how of our practice area, and I'm supporting our clients in specific questions in how to design manufacturing and supply chain. And my focus topic is really the interface. So when I look beyond the four walls of a plant, what can I optimize in the plant? But what else do I really have to take into consideration to increase the performance of my production site?
Okay. So talking about benchmarking, how do you aim to achieve productivity improvements through benchmarking despite the presence of a huge amount of data points? I think there was a figure somewhere you mentioned on your case study. There was probably 1 billion, if I'm not wrong, amount of data points. So how do you really manage all of this, the productivity questioned among your teams and on the shop floor, for example, for other companies? How do you look at it? How's that challenge for you?
So first of all, you have to get your IT architecture right, that you are talking about the basic things where a digital transformation can stumble because you have long loading times on your server. So get IT architecture right. Then, as we discussed, data has the power to drive better decisions if incorporated correctly into the daily routines. So you have to be very choiceful how you compile and combine the data points into a basis that is really actionable for the employees in the factory. And here we have to take in mind that it's not only the white-collar employees, the factory managers, but that this also should be installed and enabled on a shop floor level. And this has a lot to do with graphical visualization, keeping the report simple, usable, and then in the end actionable by the people.
Right. Actually, one of the most intriguing things that I learned from you during your case study was the point where you actually talked about not just people at the seniority levels, but also the people really who are on the shop floor, giving everyone the opportunity to learn more and more, because there's a lot happening around the world. So employees attending more and more conferences, more discussions on the similar topics that they want to excel in. So this is something I really appreciated as you being a manager in the company, and how your viewpoint on this thing is really something which is intriguing for all of us. And I think this is the approach that should be followed going down in the future. And also, as we are going, what I personally believe is like the developments that have been happening in the last 5 years. Those are exponentially higher than what happened in the last 20 years.
True.
So going more and more in the future, we will have more and more knowledge to learn. Still, nobody would be able to learn everything, but it's all about, absorbing as much as you can, and then breaking it down into bite-sized chunks and applying it in your processes.
Exactly. And as I said, the quality of a factory, and this we can enhance the statement, the quality of a smart factory is still in the quality of the routines. But the exponential change of the digital transformation around us, of course, impacts the routines. So we should have in mind as factory managers that our routines are not set in stone, but have to cope with the change and need to be adapted accordingly.
Great. During the question and answers round in your case study, you had questions from Mr. Antonio from Tufsud. He said an interesting thing this morning during his case study, and he was mentioning that the higher the involvement of people in the plant, the higher will be the acceptance of the technology. You also mentioned something similar, because you were talking about more and more about people. But when it comes to people, or when it comes to the workforce as a whole, one of the biggest challenges is culture transformation. How do you address this challenge in BCG?
So first of all, when you have to operate and work on the same hierarchical level. So you cannot fly into a factory, then walk around for 5 or 10 minutes and then say, I have understood the factory. So you have to really dive into the manufacturing community, spend hours, if not days, on site, and really understand the routines. Again, the routines, and really understand the daily challenges and problems of the shop floor operators. Because what they have to understand in terms of really following the transformation is that it will have a potentially very, very positive impact on, yes, their life, even if it sounds big, because the processes change, less hectic, less running around, and so to say more time also for other processes like keeping on learning the new digital technologies as an example.
This is also among the other million points you shared, which were so interesting. This is also quite an interesting point. And what you mentioned about shop floor workers, about really looking deep into their, into their lives, with, of course, professionally mostly. And then based on that data that you obtain, then you design your processes. What I just thought while you were saying it, because moving ahead in the future, we are going into automation, robotics, and there were talks about saving 20,000 steps and all of that. Somewhere there is some sort of insecurity in shop floor workers because of this. And probably this could be a good sort of reassuring point for them, like restating the fact that they have a value and they are a very important node of the supply chain system. Just my thought, but would you agree to that?
Yeah, I would agree to that. Of course, when we speak about data professional, so we dive into the professional topics and leave out the private topics. In the end, a factory should be designed around the humans who work there, and not purely designed about the robots who are installed there, I would call this. It's still also a socio, it's a technical system, but it's a socio-technical system. And the human part in all of the transformation of such a factory should not be underestimated, or we should take into consideration that, of course, if we overemphasize the technical part, install more and more robots, more automation, more potentially also restructuring of people, we will not get the full buy-in of the workforce. So factories should be designed around the humans, not purely around the robots.
That's something that is really an important thing, I think, going ahead for most of the production companies. Also, it's like creating a community of the shop floor workers or the general workforce. There was a mention by Mr. Israel, the CEO of Norson, that the supply chain should be based around same location, in a close vicinity, and probably there could be ideas about creating like a unified culture transformation programs for not just the main production facility, but also for the supply facilities.
Yeah, and once you start looking beyond your four walls of your factory, you will discover the impacts of all the decisions that you made in the past. For example, to not have safety stock for a specific component, because not having safety stock also means you don't have potentially a space or warehouse when you decide to have safety stock to store it. So it's really many decision points and items coming together, and for many of the sites we also worked with, was very much eye-opening to go beyond the scope of the pure factory.
So it's in a way it's such a vast, let's just say, like a process, but at the same time it's so closely knit.
Exactly.
And I think the challenge is to observe those, the key aspects of the close knit, and how to bring it all together again and obtain the best efficiency from it.
Thank you.
Thank you also very much for sharing all the key insights you had from the summit. I really hope you would like to join us again in the next version of the summit. And if there is something specific that you learned from today, from the summit.
So specifically, I'm still impressed what is available in terms of solutions and might be small things, but in a factory, a small change of a process can be a big thing for the people who work there. That I found specifically intriguing and insightful in many of the presentations. And secondly, was specifically interesting because it's so much talked about today, and we all experience it, was the deep dive on the semiconductor shortage, understanding of the market and how we all get out of it, what is the timeline, some measures behind. So that was also a very cool presentation.
I'm really glad to know that, and we as a team really enjoy the fact that when delegates come here and they have a lot of learning to take back with them and apply in their relevant fields. That is the utmost satisfaction point for us. So thank you again.
Thanks to you.
Thank you. And
see you next time.
Yes, see you next time, definitely. So that was Dr. Stefan from BCG, expert for supply chain.